Good evening, and thank you for joining us remotely for our Parents' Information Evening. As head teacher, I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce the evening by sharing with you my thoughts about the vision for St Paul's and our key priorities. On the screen behind me, you will see the mission statement. We continuously refer to the simplified version of our mission as being to love, to serve, and to do the best that's possible. This is what we are all trying to put into action during our everyday lives at St Paul's. Over the last few years, our key messages have been to emphasise the fact that we are a Catholic school. We strive to provide a holistic education. We want your children to achieve the best possible academic outcomes, but beyond this, we are committed to ensuring that your child is well known as an individual and well cared for. We aim to nurture and develop your child's unique gifts and talents fully. So our priorities are very clear. We aim to ensure excellent academic outcomes for your children. We aim to ensure that there's impeccable behaviour in our school at all times. We want to make sure that your children experience outstanding teaching and robust intervention when they need support. And it's really important that we provide the widest possible range of high quality extracurricular activities for all of the children. Beyond this, over the last 2 years, we've been working with staff in all different roles within schools to develop their skills as leaders and make sure that they are able to reflect and articulate their leadership skills and the leadership they're demonstrating at an extremely high level. And during this academic year, we are now extending that to make sure that we are focusing on developing the leadership skills of the pupils in our care. I hope that you will find the information contained within the presentation this evening helpful and informative.
Hello, good evening everyone, and thank you very much for joining us again this evening on another remote Parent Information Evening. We are really hoping that this will be the last one and it won't be long until we can welcome you into school to meet face to face. Just a very quick point from me, and that is all to do with social media, in particular with TikTok and some of the national challenges that have been taking place of late. These involve making videos of teachers and other pupils. These involve some very unkind content. These pages are being made using the school logo, using the school name in their name also. We ask that you please check your children's phones, making sure that they are not downloading any of this, they are not following any of these pages, and that also from the information you've been given from Mrs. Hoskins this evening, you are aware of the age restrictions for these various forms of social media. Thank you very much for your support with this, and as I've said, I really hope to see you on school site soon.
Hello there, my name's Catherine Manley. I'm an assistant head teacher here at St Paul's, and I want to briefly introduce the options process, which your child will go through by the end of Year 8 in readiness for the beginning of Year 9. You and your child have already been through a couple of processes of expressing preferences for subject choices to carry forward in terms of D&T subjects in Year 7 and expressive arts subjects from Year 7 into 8. The process is not dissimilar, but there are a wider range of subjects which need to be considered, and these are, unless there are any exceptional circumstances, the subjects that your child will take forward to gain qualifications in at the end of Year 11. So what you can see here is the series of different subjects that your child will be able to express their preferences in. So the red subjects that you can see at the top of each subject group, they are the non-option subjects. So they're the subjects that everybody will do and everybody will continue on in terms of gaining a GCSE qualification in at the end. So as you can see, there are two English qualifications, English language and English literature. All students will continue on with their maths. Students will continue on with the modern foreign language that they currently are studying, their RE, and then the science, and there will be at least 2 science GCSEs or 3, depending on the route that is chosen. Then your child will be able to express a preference in which D&T subject they choose, which expressive arts subjects they continue on with into Year 9, so that will be one of art, music, drama or PE, They will express a preference about whether they would like to continue on with history or geography into year 9 and beyond. And then there are a range of kind of new subjects, which are known as our option subjects. You can see sort of 3 different comparable routes there, which combine the subjects in slightly different ways. And these are no better, worse, easier or harder than each other. It's purely down to the most suitable route that a child will be most likely to thrive and succeed and hopefully be supported to achieving their future pathway. So to outline the process for you then, the process really begins in earnest after Christmas. There will be some initial assemblies that will provide some more information during pastoral time. But then in early February, there'll be the next Parents Information Evening for Year 8 families. And we are very much hoping that this will be a face-to-face event. Families will be invited into school on that evening, and they will be able to have presentations from subject teachers and ambassadors for the subject, and really start to get a feel for what it's like to study those subjects further in year 9 and beyond. And what we're really hoping that students will take the opportunity to do, and parents, is to have a look around to really start to get to know those subjects, particularly the new subjects that they haven't experienced before, and to start to do some of that research to see what's going to really suit them best. Then what happens is an online booklet will be made available for you to read between parents and children, so they can have a talk about all of the information and talk to their teachers, their tutors, their mentors, anybody who they might want to ask advice from, given that this is a relatively new process for them. After that sort of month is finished and that all of the resources have been used, and all of the information and all of the investigations, then the options form will be released for children with their parents to start filling in. And that options form will be online. It will be available during March, and students will then express their preferences in the different areas that you saw on the previous slide, and that will be submitted by the Easter holidays. Now what will happen then is we will start to assign pupils in school according to their preferences, and we do manage as a school to assign a high proportion of students year on year to their first preferences in the majority of their subjects. However, if any further advice or guidance is needed for pupils at this point, this will be provided by members of the pastoral team for year 8 or by leadership team. Once the preferences or the subjects have been assigned, there will then be an options letter which is sent home to you to confirm which subjects have been assigned for each child, and that will be sent after May half term next year. At that point, it may be that you would like to feed back to me, or students would like to discuss what's been sent to them a little bit further, and then there will be the opportunity and the time to do that ahead of any further changes that might be necessary before timetables are finalised for year 9. And then, as you can see, we're aiming to start year 9 then with new and existing subjects with enthusiasm and excitement for what the future will bring. So some advice then as we start to think about the coming process. And these are some quotes from students who've been through the process in recent years, and what they've said about how they've approached it and what their best advice would be for making a success of it. So using Unifrog and other research methods to think about careers and think about the future pathways that perhaps some subjects might suit more than others. So we have a lot of existing resources in our library and access to Unifrog, which should help there. Asking teachers lots of questions. So these teachers who teach these subjects have taught students year on year. They know what skills are required. They know if you might have a particular talent for it, or whether you have the potential to be successful at it. So asking teachers advice would probably be a really, really good thing to do. And then using your parents for support. Your parents know you really well, so they'll be able to perhaps talk through with you use some of their own experience in terms of the qualifications or the careers that they might have chosen. But ultimately, they'll probably be a fairly good person to support you in terms of deciding what's best for you. And then that last one there is just about making up your own mind to use as many of the resources that have been given to you as possible, all of the information and guidance, read that really carefully, talk to as many people as you can who you think will be able to give you advice, and then ultimately make up your own mind. So I look forward to working with you further on this, particularly after Christmas. You'll probably be seeing a little bit more of me in assemblies and certainly on the information evening, and I'm here to help you in any way I can.
Hello, I'm Miss Roach and I am the reading lead at St Paul's Catholic School, and I'm here to talk to you about a couple of things today. So first of all, I'm going to talk to you about the significance of accelerated reader and reading within Key Stage 3, and second of all, I'll be talking to you about PSHE and RSE in Year 8. To begin with then, just a refresher of what an accelerated reader is and why we teach it at St Paul's. It's an online reading programme that all of our Key Stage 3 students are signed up to, and through AR we're able to motivate, monitor and manage students' independent reading practice and watch as students develop a true love for reading. All of our Key Stage 3 students are signed up to this programme, which makes it an excellent tool for us as teachers because it means that we can start to engage with our students' reading progress and have discussions with them to help lead them in terms of their decisions around books that they're choosing and also about their just engagement in reading generally. We know that reading has a massive impact on students' progress within school and within their attainment, and this is why from the beginning of Year 7 it's something that we really embed into our curriculums, and it's something that we try to have as many discussions about as possible. What we really like about Accelerated Reader is that it allows not only for teachers to support students, but also for parents and for guardians to become involved too and to support from the other side. We found that students really quite enjoy engaging within Accelerated Reader because of some of the key competitions and the key kind of motivations that we have. So some of the things that we've done in the past is that we've had theatre trips and taken students there it was a free trip for students who'd really shown engagement with their reading. A trip to Harry Potter Studios, pizza parties and vouchers, and multiple other things that we've done in order to congratulate and recognise students for their reading outside of the curriculum. So the thing that I wanted to talk to you about today is how that parents and guardians can engage with Accelerated Reader. And actually the first thing I'd like to do is just draw your attention to this info graphic on the side, where we've got 3 different students, one who reads for a minute a day, one who reads for 5 minutes a day, and one who reads for 20 minutes a day. And actually you can see that the difference in terms of how that child attains and how they progress is incredibly different. So if it was just a student reading 1 minute per day, they'll be exposed to 8,000 words per year and score in the 10th percentile of standardised tests. So that's the lower end of the achievement spectrum. If we then go on to someone who's 20 minutes a day and engaging with reading in a book that is the correct level of challenge, which we know through Accelerated Reader, we're able to identify the best range of books for our students. This means that they'll be exposed to 1.8 million words a year and they will score in the 90th percentile on tests, which makes a massive impact and a massive difference just through having an additional 19 minutes of reading a day. Now it's up to us as adults in our students and our children's lives to ensure that we're making sure that they have the kind of mental space and the physical quiet space for them to be able to engage in reading. And it's really important as well that we're modelling to students how important reading is. So one of the things that you will notice on mentoring is that you will be given an update of where your child is in terms of their Accelerated Reader progress, where they're sitting in terms of their reading age and what kind of colour reading book or zone of proximal development that they are currently sitting in. And this will help us to have those conversations and help us to lead students in making the right choices. One of the other things that we started doing this year as well is that our reading lessons, which we have once a week with our English teachers, have now been dropped down so that its students are put into ability classes. So their reading is with the same par or on the same par as the other students in the class, which has meant that we're having even more effective intervention with our students and allowing them to read texts that really hit that area or development that we need to be hitting. It would be really useful, and especially going into year 9 next year and kind of thinking ahead, that this is something that we're constantly thinking about with students, and discussions that we're having with students to remind them of how important reading is within their curriculum and within their development. The second thing I'm here to talk to you about today is PSHE and RSE in Year 8. We've spoken about PSHE and RSE before, so PSHE being Personal, Social, Health and Economic Education, and RSE being Relationship and Sex Education. Relationship and sex education is now a legal requirement that has to be taught to students, so it's been made statutory in September 2020. And PSHE is just good practice, something that the school teaches because it covers such important issues. So it's more about our students' kind of social development, their spiritual development, and their emotional development. So this isn't necessarily about academic achievement, it's more about ensuring that our students grow into the whole person, who are able to make sound decisions and keep themselves safe going into adulthood. Some of the things that we've covered in the past, then we've looked at things like managing friendships and conflicts within relationships or friendships. We've looked at bullying, we've looked at discrimination. We cover things like Black History Month. We cover things like finance, and we really give students quite a diverse curriculum in order to equip them with as many skills as possible. In the Year 8 curriculum this year, this is what it looks like. So this is what we will be doing with students. Advent 1, they have just completed a unit on keeping good mental health, where they look at their emotional health, anxiety, stress, body image, self-love and eating disorders, and the impact that this can have on individuals. We teach this to give students an awareness of, first of all, their self, so they're able to monitor themselves and ensure that they're trying to keep themselves in a healthy mindset, and identify when they're not so that they can seek support and help if it isn't already been given. But also so that they can recognise it in each other and make sure that they're providing support and we're providing support for their friends and their family members. In Advent 2, which they've just begun now, they're doing real world finance, so things like income tax, national insurance, budgeting, saving and investing, tax evasion, debts and loans. This is a Bank of England scheme, so it's been created by the Bank of England and aims to teach students about the basics of the banking system and how finance works around us, which we're really hoping will help to build some empathy in students of understanding how parents and guardians have to operate on a daily basis financially, and actually how they're going to have to budget as they start to have more autonomy over money and start to get jobs going into 16, 17, 18. In Lent 1 and 2, and this is our statutory unit, it's our RSE focus. So for Year 8, what we're really focusing on is the culture of Western culture, really, in terms of relationships and sex. What we look at in quite a lot of detail is consent, looking at rights over our bodies. And whilst this might cover things like harassment and assault, it also covers just being able to say no to people and creating positive boundaries over our own bodies and ensuring that they realise and understand how much power they have over themselves or should have over themselves. We look at addressing the victim blaming culture that is something that seems to be embedding itself within the 21st century. Misogyny, toxic masculinity and the pressures that are on men, stereotypes and gender and how this affects different genders, freedom of expression and respect and how we can ensure that actually our own opinions aren't presented in a damaging way or a hateful way towards other people. In Pentecost 1 then, we then move on to identity and self, looking at diversity in British culture, the protected characteristics that our law cover, role models, body image, the online self and identity within a curriculum. And finally in Pentecost 2, they'll be ending on prejudice and discrimination, looking at the different ways in society that prejudice and discrimination can show itself. So racism, sexism, ableism, ageism, classism, religion and nationality being some examples of that. If you'd like to contextualise this in the wider curriculum of the school, so we now teach RSE to every single year group, including sixth form, then you can do that by looking on the school website and looking at the PSHE and RSE overview of the curriculum. If you have any questions regarding the content of this or you'd like to find out more, please do get in contact with me. As I said before, I am Miss Alicia Roach, and I'm very, very happy to answer any emails that are sent my way or any phone calls. Thank you very much for listening.
Good evening. My name is Anne Hoskins and I'm the Deputy Designated Safeguarding Officer for St Paul's Catholic School. I work together with Mr Roach, who is the Designated Safeguarding Officer for the school. We work together with every year group in school, and in Year 8 specifically with Mr Cresswell, the Head of Year, and Mr Beckett, the Chaplaincy Assistant. The current areas of concern throughout Milton Keynes are child poverty and neglect, mental health, domestic abuse and youth violence, primarily through criminal exploitation. And these concerns have been raised by Milton Keynes Together, which is an umbrella organisation that safeguards our children across Milton Keynes. Together with this, we have the national priorities, and these pretty much remain the same as they have done in previous years. They remain as female genital mutilation, the Prevent Agenda, child sexual exploitation, criminal exploitation, peer-on-peer abuse and serious violence. We particularly remind our children about the areas of prevent, sexual exploitation and criminal exploitation. And this is because with the increased amount of time that young people have had at home over the last year, there has been a significant increase in the amount of time they have spent on social media. And unfortunately, the people who groom our children know where to find them, and that is on social media. And they can spot their vulnerabilities and really get into the children through that route. We'll also be looking at peer-on-peer abuse, which is something that is very high on the government's agenda this year and something our staff and students are receiving training on. During Year 8 Safeguarding Assembly, we'll be highlighting specifically these areas of risk of exploitation, peer-on-peer abuse, looking still at social media, and identifying that area of consent and really trying to help young people understand what that means. We'll also cover the other areas on the slide, but the previous slide, but these ones in particular will be the focus of our Safeguarding Assembly. I spoke a moment ago about the risk and the vulnerabilities of children on social media, and to that end we just wanted to remind parents about the minimum age restrictions for children on social media, and you'll see that most of these don't get, the restrictions are in place till children are 13 plus for most social media accounts. And we really would ask our young people and parents to consider very carefully what platforms their children have access to and who they are talking to, and about those so-called friends. Is a friend really someone that you've never met or never had any face-to-face communication with, and to really restrict the number of contacts they have on those accounts. Also, over the last year, as we came out of lockdown in May, we introduced a students reporting button onto the It's Learning platform, and this allows our young people to report things to us, areas of concern that they may have, and particularly if they feel that they wouldn't benefit from a face-to-face meeting, where they would find it easier to report something in a confidential way. And we have directed our young people to this. It's on their It's Learning platform under the More button. If they tap on that tab and the drop-down menu, they will find the confidential reporting button. And then we are able to support and help our students who may find that initial contact a little bit difficult. But as I say, we just want to alert them to what's going on in the world and how to keep themselves safe and prevent them from getting exploited by people outside. And to that end, we'd ask you, as I say, to remind them of the issues around social media and keeping themselves safe on the internet. Many thanks for listening, and if you want any more information or you want to speak with Graham Roach or myself, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. Thank you.